Here we have Toolbench, the development environment for working with tools with LightSpeed, and in particular we're using World Builder, our level editing tool for defining the initial conditions of the game. Here you can see the level we just walked through with the initial position of the character and sort of the path we walked through past the stone lions. We rounded a corner and came across an enemy which we killed, and here's that first gate with its collision trigger we can see that we penetrated to open this first gate. The level is much larger than this, which we'll see later on as we move through the demonstration. But for now we're going to focus on how we might change some of this level and quickly see it in the game. Now over here we have a running instance of Mangled Metal, and we'll show how when we change things in World Builder we can see those changes instantly inside the running game. Now for the purposes of this video I'm running the game on Windows directly next to the Toolbench application, but I could just as easily be running the game on a PS3 or a 360 or a Wii and get the same rapid iteration benefits. This is by design with Gamebryo LightSpeed, that instead of having an editor with all of the editing functionality built in and being the game, we separate the editor from the game so that if there's a compile problem with the game, your designers and artists can continue with their level editing without being held up by a compile issue. While at the same time we try to get the same benefit of having that real-time interaction of being able to change the game and see exactly how it's going to look on target. Okay, let's get to making some changes. So here I'm in my entity view to see all of the entities that are defined in the game. I'm going to go to lighting and I see I have an ambient light and a directional light. So here's the directional light, and you'll see that if I change my rotation mode and I rotate the light around, that inside the editor the shadows update in real time. Now nothing is currently happening in the game, and nothing will happen until I hit save. So let's make the shadows somewhat different than they are in the game. We'll hit save, and now you see the shadows are updated immediately. Now we can also do things like changing the diffuse color. It brings up a nice color picker. I might change to something horrible like a bright green and say okay, I get to see what that looks like in the level. Maybe I don't like that, I'm looking for more of a yellow, sort of subdued. Say okay. If I want to see what that looks like in the game, click save. I can interact in this environment now. Still, probably nothing quite as good as it was originally, so I just hit Control Z to undo those changes. I'm back where I was. Hit save. Good to go. I could even undo the changes I made to the light rotation and get back to exactly the same initial setup. Okay, let's look at some basic level editing things. Now there's this nice patch along this cliff that doesn't have any trees defined on it, so let's walk to that place in the game and we'll see about making some changes. Okay, so there's this sort of empty cliff wall, and we'll zoom in our editor to see exactly that same place. Now there's lots of ways we can place entities. For example, I can pick existing entities and I could decide to copy them, switch to translation mode, and I can place copies of these things. Now you'll see that all of these newly placed entities are just sort of floating mid-air or intersecting with the terrain. I need to switch to snap to surface mode, and so now when I move these items they will follow the terrain and be placed there. Now I can also place items individually. When I go to my palette view, I can see all of the trees and various items that I could put down. So for example, if I switch to prop tree twisted and I say I want to be in creation mode, now wherever I click I'll just be placing one of these trees. Let's place a few other types. Some more of type 3. Okay, now we've got several trees in our world. Oh, let's delete that one. Okay. Now, they all sort of look the same, so one of the things we can do is now that we've added all these entities, let's select everything we just added and use one of the tools called the randomizer. Now this will allow us to randomize certain values, so we're going to randomize the rotation around the z-axis, and we're also going to randomize the scale. This will allow us to get various effects without all the trees looking exactly the same. So I just click randomize, maybe click it a few times until I get something that I like. Ah, that's pretty good. Say done. And so now I've got my new trees along the cliff wall. All I need to do is click save, and I get those new trees in the world. And again, that works just as well on a PC as it would on a connected console. Now what if I want to make a larger change to say all of the trees in the world, to change all of those assets? Let's see how we can do that. Now let's switch to our alphabetical view of everything that's in the world, and I'm going to do a filter on tree. And so now I get a list of all of the trees in the world. I'm going to click one and click Control A to select everything, and now you'll see that I've actually selected all of the trees in the world, which is about 700, 800 trees, I think. Now in our entity editor over here, we can change any properties of those trees which are common. So for example, if I want to change the graphical NIF asset of those trees, I can just go in here and say, find out where all my trees are. I'll switch to thumbnail view so I can see which types of trees I have available to me. Let's try tree dead. Okay, and I just changed all of the trees inside the editor. Again, click save, and it just changed all of the trees in the world to now be this different tree model. Now again, if I want to go back to what it was before, again, multiple different NIF assets defined, I just hit Control Z, everything reverts to the way it was, click save again, and I'm back to where I started. Okay, that's some of the level editing tools, and next we'll move on to see how it can affect gameplay.